Hey there! Today we're going to be talking about stereotypes, prejudice, discrimination, and oppression. These four terms help to reveal how bias shows up in our society, but do you really know what they mean and how they can work together? As difficult as it may be, the easiest way to remember how these terms are different and how they can work together is you! Well, your body, specifically your head, your heart, and your hands. Now, we're going to be looking at one group in these examples, but remember, these concepts apply to various marginalized groups. Let's look at the first term, stereotypes. Now, stereotypes are thoughts that are often automatic and maybe even unconscious, so think your head or your brain. They're usually flash judgments that generalize a characteristic, interest, some factor or facet of a population, and then tie it to everyone in that population. For example, a stereotype can be the flash judgment that somehow women are weaker, lesser, or more emotional than men. The key to stereotypes is to remember that they're just thoughts. They're not yet beliefs or even action. And once someone has a stereotype on their mind, a prejudice can be soon to follow. A prejudice is not just a thought. It is mainly a belief, an attitude, or a feeling. So think your heart. Prejudice represents the things that we actually believe and the attitudes that we hold towards others. It can also represent a feeling one might have when interacting with or perceiving someone of a different group. An example of prejudice can be someone feeling uncomfortable with women pursuing professions outside of the domestic sphere, or feeling angry with women being in leadership positions. When a stereotype and a prejudice are present, discrimination can soon manifest. Discrimination isn't just a thought or a belief, it is an action or a set of actions. So think of your hand. These are instances where people actually act out their biases interpersonally between one or more people in their daily lives. Some of the discrimination women might face on a daily basis could be someone using sexist language or enacting sexual harassment to intentionally hurt, undermine, or assert power over the women they interact with. And then sometimes actions aren't just among a few people in everyday life. They're happening in a system that has power within an institution. This is called oppression. So think many hands. Oppression specifically requires power in numbers and social dominance for it to be able to enact bias at the systemic level. What are systemic levels of power, you ask? Well, they are systems of power within institutions. These institutions can include the media, healthcare, education, criminal justice, the government, religion, housing, and even employment. These are larger social structures that help to influence the daily lives of people immensely and help to shape their lived reality. So when bias influences or permeates a system that has power, that's oppression. An example of oppression is when in 1960s and 70s America, a bank could refuse to issue a credit card to an unmarried woman, and if she was married, her husband was required to co-sign. Up until 1974, credit cards in many cases were only issued to a woman with her husband's signature. Even today, American women are still up against laws complicating their access to things like reproductive health care and equal pay for equal work. In fact, there are many countries that stop women from having the same legal rights as a man. Again, it takes many hands to fuel oppression like that. So remember, by knowing how stereotypes, prejudice, discrimination, and oppression are different and how they can work together, we can better see how and where biases show up in society and what we can do to stop and change them in the long run. Thanks for watching.